Hey, what's up everyone? My name is Coach Dave from Structure Your Strength, and today we're going to go over some of my favorite kettlebell exercises. You might notice it is about 95 degrees here in Jersey, so don't mind me if I start sweating everywhere as I go through this. So me personally, kettlebells were the first thing that I got started with, mostly because I couldn't afford any other equipment, and I got the opportunity to get some kettlebells real cheap, 35 and 45 pound kettlebells. So that's what I always started with. That's what I like to play with to this day, to warm up, to accessory work. I personally love the way kettlebells feel just because they're a little different than a dumbbell. They sit differently, we can do different exercises with them, as well as the whole momentum part that kettlebells usually incorporate carries over the sport very well, and you can do some funky rotational work with them too. All right, so the first thing we're going to talk about is the kettlebell windmill. All right, and I'm actually not going to include the Turkish sit-up because everyone always talks about the Turkish sit-up and the Turkish get-up. That's one of my favorite exercises too, but we're going to talk about some different ones for you. So the first one is the kettlebell windmill. Personally, I found this really helpful for when I got hit from behind, my back got hurt. So I was doing this exercise that helped strengthen up my back once I felt like I could do it. I started really light with it, but it is something you can use for warm-up or when you're done some accessory work. Just keep it light at first. So don't make fun of my pink kettlebell either. Kettlebell is going to be up overhead. Feet are slightly tilted, facing that way. I'm going to push my hip over, come all the way down, try and touch as low as I can, rotate back up. All the way down. Again, I'm trying to push my hips that way, excuse me, and you use a lot of kind of weird muscles, oblique side, even your QL you're going to be using, as well as all that shoulder stabilization going on. I personally love it for anyone that's had a history of kind of shoulder issues or lower back issues. We slowly load it. I did it recently with someone with no weight just to see how the range of motion was before we got into it. All right, so there's one for you, the kettlebell windmill. Number two, some of you might have seen this before. It's the whole upside down press. You have to really squeeze, straight up, straight down, nice and slow. You can't rush this one. I'd recommend you look at it too. Besides that, the way I really like to load this up is we'll do a carry, elbow at 90, shoulder at 90, and then every so many feet, we'll do a couple presses and keep going. So that way we're not just working on moving, we're working on stabilizing once we get fatigued as well. And especially for anyone out there that does Olympic weightlifting, maybe you do CrossFit, you just don't need to work on shoulder strength. You need to work on stamina and long-term shoulder stability. So when we're doing workouts, especially with the Open coming up in October, right? It's not that far away, right? You'll see this at the games, the kipping movements, muscle ups, high volume snatches, super heavy snatches in a fatigue state. You want to be able to have that stamina there in your shoulder, all right? Another one we're going to talk about is the kettlebell front rack carry. I personally love this because we have so many people that have bad posture here. So when I hold this kettlebell, thumbs are going to be underneath my chin, pretend like I have two of them. So it's at forearm, bicep, pec. And when I'm going to exaggerate it with people to keep the shoulders back and not to get pulled forward. And we might walk 60 feet, 100 meters. Distance really varies. We can really load this up. It's a great core developer, lower back, but I really like it to learn how to keep that posture upright, and it transfers very well over to things like front squats or thrusters, okay? Excuse me, starting to sweat a little bit more. Another exercise I like to do, which you don't normally see in gyms a lot of times, is offset kettlebell swings. And what I mean by offset is not the traditional down the middle kettlebell swing. So one arm swings, down the middle, they're great, right? Here I am, get a little rotation in them. You can switch arms, but we want to learn how to do these just a little different, especially if you're doing any type of sport. I'm going to have it come next to me and up, next to me and up. So it's outside my body. You can play around with different foot stances, all right? If you look down, I'm actually a little staggered stance. You can play around with stepping with it. Adds a little bit more coordination. All right, plus we're fighting that anti-rotation. We're working on an explosion coming off the hip. So if you're a golf player, baseball, you throw, pitch, football, whatever it happens to be, you really want to work on that. Last one is the kettlebell arm bar. Now start really slow on this one. Take your time. I like this a lot because it helps open up my shoulders. People who have had dislocated shoulder stuff swear by it. Start really light though. So I'm going to lay on the ground on my side. Excuse me, on my back, and I'm going to rotate over slowly, but this arm needs to come overhead. So here I am, I rotate onto my side, I'm going to pull my shoulder blade back, I'm not going to reach up, pull it back, I'm going to rotate my hips and come down as far as I can, hold, and then come on back. Nice and easy. Notice I never take my eyes off of that kettlebell the whole time. So I'm gonna rotate over, squeeze my shoulder blades together a little bit, keep coming. You can see I get a little bit further that time, and come on back. And always use 2 hands to pick it up and put it down. Be careful with that rotator cuff, all right? So again, this is Dave from StructureYourStrength.com. You can check it out, the best strength training program online. If you have any questions, comment below. Talk to you guys soon.